All right, hey guys, it is Umber Rays, almost on my vacation. My camera is a little up. Let's fix that right in the middle of recording. But today we're going to be taking a look at Edward and Alphonse in two separate videos. So first we're going to be taking a look at Edward, and because I'm really running out of time before I have to get on the plane and have everything packed and ready, which I'm not there yet, this is going to be try to be a little bit more of a speed couple of videos. So if I am going through this a little too fast or I miss something, apologies. I'll try and do some more videos and record some more stuff over the next few days. But obviously there's a huge amount of data in dropped today, and I don't have enough time. Anyway, let's get into it. So Edward first. That feels like a good place to start. You can get an interesting little view of Edward. It's a limit burst right here, and I have to say, the characters look really, really cool. They did a good job translating these characters into the actual game, so I'm quite happy about how they did that. I'm interested to see how fans feel about it. But all right, let's dig in really quickly. So Wind Elemental, limited, 90 cost character, 3 move, 1 jump. Off his base, Full Metal Alchemist is his main job, Spellblade and Strider or Battle Axe are his sub-jobs, Fist weapon user with hat, cloth, and accessories for equipment option. As for his TMR, Clothing, 388 HP, 4 defense, 10 spirit, 2 agility, and 8 accuracy, is a pretty good piece of equipment. I like all the stats across here. There's a little bit of accuracy to help with evasion, such as UP. There's good, a little bit of extra speed to make the unit that has this equipped a little bit faster. It does come with an ability that grants a 10% HP restore per turn for 3 turns for the self, or for himself and targets, as well as single target attack resistance of 25, which is pretty good. So long as the regen effect is still active, you will have that. So pretty cool. I'm liking this TMR. I like a lot of stuff about it. It's not over the moon incredible, but it feels really solid for what you're getting right now. So for a piece of armor, feels really good. Now we're going to just jump over to a map in the actual Full Metal Alchemist. And just so you know, this is an interesting fact for JP, is the fact that the Full Metal Alchemist event and story event right now is actually bugged. We can't do anything about that. So if you're wondering about the story and whatnot, so am I. All right, let's pull up our friend unit and take a look. As you can see, he is running the Tiger Claws as well as his pocket watch and his own TMR. I'm going to put him in a full wind party so you can see the upgrades across the board here. You can see my mediocre assortment of wind vision cards as well as the wind units. So let's just show off some of the stats across the board. Wind is probably my weakest element in terms of vision cards. I'm still able to make a few strong units here that are pretty good. Wind VCs. Still hoping that one day I'll be able to get enough resources to finish off. Would it be next week? I don't know. All right, so Dark Tetraselphide, his vision card, as well as this new Dark vision card. Basically, this is a pretty pumped up friend unit, as you're about to see. I mean, Dark Tetraselphide is a big boost for wind units. And looking here at the new vision card, 18% agility boost. We're looking at strike attack up of 35. Looking at resistances increase. It's a pretty good vision card for fist users, and will probably make for some strong fist team. As for his weapon, you can see here, Pocket Watch does include a few additional benefits. You can see there's some extra resistances as well as some good stats across the board for this piece of equipment, but also gives an AP increase, a wind attack increase, and a reaction block increase for this one unit specifically. And it's the same story for Alphonse, where Alphonse also gets this kind of upgrade, but only specifically for him when his piece of equipment is equipped. So yes, now the pièce de résistance. Now here is a full 140, not fully reincarnated unit. that you can see. So 7,600 in HP is somewhere in between most of the wing units I have on my team currently, and feels about pretty accurate for the vision card setup. As for the attack, can actually come very close to matching Glassy, with the difference that most of his attacks are strike. Now he does have some pierce and slashing attacks throughout his kit to vary up the damage types, but his damage, like from the attack stat, is really high here, and it scales very nicely, it seems, from his abilities. But as you can see, has a defense of 19, a spirit of 25, and not only that, 117 speed. Now this is with this vision card, and taking a look, Wind Glassy here is sitting at 109. Joom is sitting at 101, but this is definitely one seriously fast unit. It might even be a really amazing combination with Tifa and Rizal, which feels pretty cool to say. So yes, obviously very nice stats here, and if we just take a look at his initial resistances with the passives and everything, and get an idea. Not great status effects protection, but it's fine. Status effects might be a very effective way of dealing with this unit, but 55 for piercing and slash resistance is a lot, and 20%, 10%, and 15% for the other three isn't bad either. Overall, Edward feels like he comes out of this smelling very, very strong. And not only that, but his master ability gives him a 25% attack increase, is one of the reasons why his attack is so good. Looking at his dream ability, or reincarnation if you prefer, getting him into 140 here is giving him an extra 10% in slash and pierce resistance, as well as AoE resistance of 10. So you can get an idea that this is just a very, very strong unit. Let's bring up his kit and talk about it. All right, so first off, supports, he doesn't have too many of them. Slash and pierce, while increasing HP of 12%, feels fairly okay. Magic resistance and earth resistance of 12, honestly, not a huge concern. Agility of 12% and move +1, this is one that I think you're always going to be using. And the accuracy and increase of defense penetration is also very tempting. So I think these bottom two, his battle axe and his main support skill, are probably the two that will be the most commonly run, because while resistance is nice, some units can fully get around resistances. So unless you're going to pump up resistance, penetration resistance, or something ridiculous like that, either now or in the future, if it even is a thing right now, because woof, it doesn't feel super important to go all ham in on. As for counter, you can see that he does get a physical damage counter, and on this one, pretty good range across it, with 100% hit chance too, which is kind of interesting. Have we ever seen a sure hit counter before? I think the answer is no. He also has two other good options though, either counter magical damage by reducing magical damage taken by 45%, or physical damage by 30%, both increasing his odds of survivability against really strong attacks, but not completely. Either way, probably the first unit in a long time that I've actually like all three counters, and all three counters seem good in different spots. Now, Limit Burst does give him a 45 defense increase, which you can't actually see on screen, so let me just... There we go. Shoutouts to Bismarck. All right, defense of 45 increase and a 200% mod is really, really good. Strider gives him an attack and spirit increase. Also a chance to inflict slow with a huge amount of range. Decrease attack and magic, and break physical barriers, while also removing, or ignoring, I should say, the fatal dispel the ignore fatal damage is what I was trying to say. So Strider, lots of good options here. You are going to be having to run a slash when he is not primarily running a slash based weapon, but there's enough stuff in here, and maybe just for the attack boost for himself and allies is good enough. Also getting a lot of spirit off of it, so pretty good. As for Spellblade, gives him status effect of poison, earth killer, magic resistance, spirit up, a little bit of hate generation, which I don't think is a positive for him, and a reduce magic damage barrier by 70%. Given that most of him feels like he's generally good against physical stuff in combination with his limit burst. Spellblade for this one thing is a really good option, but let's see what you have to give up. So first off, this really big long ability in his main part of his kit, 25% chance to inflict immobilize. If the target has immobilize, disable, well, you're going to get an additional effect, and decrease defense for that target by 30 if they have immobilized disabled. So actually kind of interesting. Good range on it. Giving a status effect, I guess if you're just running Faith, there's not a super high chance of this happening, but as for this ability right here, skip it. Now, main part of his kit can decrease strike resistance, so Tifa is going to be incredibly happy with this guy. As for his barrier effect, does get improved, dispels all buffs, dispels haste, physical barrier or physical damage and magical damage for 3 turns. Grants protects, and also some auto restore of 5% for 3 turns. So it is small, but you know, auto restore always good. Here, select 2 targets. 100% hit chance ability with a 165 mod is pretty good, but also gets improved later on to increase defense penetration by 30 for 3, which is pretty huge. I mean, if you get it from the battle axe in here, you're getting like 70% defense pen, you're getting 100% hit chance on a bunch of stuff. Honestly, Edward feels really quite good already. Also has an ability to increase slash and pierce resistance for himself and allies, as well as AoE resistance, so pretty good. Deal a 200% mod on this one, and his job level 25, which does get improved. Break physical barriers, 165 mod, huge AoE, and increase the mod 60% if target has auto restore on. So kind of interesting because it goes from being a good attack to an absolutely great attack, as we're about to see. Either way, Edward's kit feels very, very solid and feels like one of the units recently that I feel just strong recommendation, and it's great because he's actually a free character kind of. So let's go in. We're going to be testing against water. Peachin's already tested against dark with Sephiroth, and it was pretty impressive, both in Edward's capabilities of, you know, surviving a hit from Sephiroth and so on and so forth. But we're going to try a little bit against water and see what we're going to run up here. Just going to run some buffs on our units. And of course, we have the wind units too today. We're running all kinds of stuff. I should say that while I do have Tifa's TMR equipped on this one, it is not fully maxed out, just from my own kind of abandonment of her. Sorry, apologies. So let's take a look here. Now he is running his main kit, so we do have a wide variety of stuff. Could run his TMR. Don't think we're going to be running that. I think we're going to be looking at either getting his auto restore ability going, which this is the strike and pierce resistance, which sure, we'll run this as a buff. We'll even throw it on Celeste for right now, just so that we can see how good he is doing. The shell and protect here. Run a few more buffs, and then we are off to the races. Do what can do. All right, and I think I still need to run, which one is it? The overall attack buff for Tifa, but now we should be pretty good. So let's take a look at Edward once we've ran all of his buffs and everything. Up to 1500 attack. We're looking at 109 speed, dropped a little bit because of the party he's in. But as you can see, the resistances are pretty amazing, in specifically against slash and piercing. Even if we just take a look at a couple of the other units here, you can see 1785 attack here, So how he compares against Preen. Preen is not 140, remember? That's a little bit off. And Tifa is there. So let's just try attacking him a little bit here with Wind Glassy. And you can see the actual damage resistance just immediately, just how much he is able to remove off of the damage. Like, look at this, for instance. Just look at this. An unprepared team against Edward is going to have a bad time. You can see that Tifa almost dead, whereas Edward barely a scratch. And if we just compare all of his attacks kind of thing, Edward looks just absolutely incredible against very specific enemy types. And yeah, without actually making sure that your unit is set up to go against him or having a mage on the team, physical only will have a difficult time. And again, just comparing against the other side here, using the same attacks, we can even see that Preen, who, is better, can still resist a fair amount of the damage, but nowhere near as successful as Edward is. Let's just move on. And next we'll try some other attacks. As you can see, even against Celeste. Celeste is not a super high-powered mage user, but is much more capable. So mages will still be an issue for him. But if you're running Spellblade, I think that you can potentially get it. It just depends on whether his unit is capable of figuring it out. So run a little bit of resistance. And let's see how he goes up against Mama Preen. And this is where it starts falling down a little bit. You can see him running his own counter is pretty high damage dealing. Like, yeah, he's taking 6,000 points of damage, but he's also dealing 3,200 back, which is pretty good. But you can see here that Preen, even at 120, would be a fairly good match against him. Again, Water for me does have some better VCs overall, but I haven't even equipped Preen as fully equipped as I could. So you get an idea that Preen could deal with him as well. Certain damage types, very strong against. Others, not so much. Now let's just see what he is capable of doing with his single target. Pretty high damage against some other stuff, such as Tifa. And even if Tifa is being run as an evasion unit, which she kind of is as a 140, you can deal pretty high amounts of damage. And again, Breach here, who is running Chaos Odin, we can see is losing out a little bit, but Edward in his kit does have 100% hit chance abilities against him that still deal pretty good damage. And again, this is the type where we can actually choose multiple from in the AoE. Very, very cool ability. I actually love this ability a ton. And his AoE, you can see pretty high damage dealing against everything. But if we were to target the other wind team, or sorry, the other water team, we're still doing pretty good damage across the board. So yeah, Edward feels quite strong for what he's dealing with. I think that he can actually compete for, whoops, oh, dang it. Right in the middle of the video. He can actually compete against some of the other high damage dealing fist units and other units. Wow, look at this damage against Astrius. Now here, I think this is a pretty good demonstration of just how strong this character can be, dealing a high amount of damage. So overall, I feel like the thing here is that I'm quite happy with how his kit turned out. One thing I do want to test, just again, as you can see, Astrius running certain abilities and Sephiroth running certain kits as well will be able to really circumvent just how much damage or how much resistance he has. Like, for instance, you can see with Astrius's other attacks, well, yeah, we're basically not getting anything done against this guy, really. More so than like Glassy was, but not so much. But if we run just this limit burst here, we're going to deal a high amount of damage and still get those second hits, and that's really going to empower Sword. And as I've said previously with the Winter Vision card, I think that you can run Astrius plus Sephiroth and be a really successful. So let's just skip through a whole bunch of turns. I'm going to try and make sure that animations are actually on this time. Maybe we can get a unit here to test out. Yep, all right. So let's throw it on auto and see how our team handles this. But yes, I guess final early thoughts about Mr. Edward. I think he's an absolutely fantastic unit. I think he's really cool. I like that he has very, very key strong matchups. He's even very strong against single target attacks. He has just 3 types of damage. So, like, for instance, most of his main part of his kit is, you know, fist strike type. He also has slashing and piercing type damage, so he can get around different. He's very flexible for multiple types. He feels like if you were just starting the game right now, he's an absolutely great unit. He actually reminds me too a lot of Lightning, who was a really, really good unit last year. You can even see just there dealing a high amount of damage. So yeah, Edward, absolutely recommend this character. It's going to be really hard for me to say that I don't want to build him, because he just seems really cool. And that is a super positive piece of news. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching. Take care and see you next time.